In Norse myth, as I previously stated, we're going to find a lot of supernatural beings besides the gods, perhaps more interesting than the gods. And in previous talks, I tackled such supernatural beings as well as the parts of the soul in Norse culture, so you might want to check them out too. So today I'm going to discuss a little bit the concept of landvættir, the land spirits, which are basically guardians of particular places or countries. We find reference to these spirits in the Book of Settlements, the Icelandic Book of Settlements, the Landnámabók, about the colonization of the island, stating, for example, that dragon prows of ships must be removed close to land for fear of disturbing these spirits. We also have some references to the so-called niðurstang, the scorn pole. For example, the poet and Viking Egil Skallagrimsson in his saga leaves a scorn pole. So that's basically a pole topped by a horse's head and inscribed with threatening runes. He leaves it in Norway in the hope of upsetting the land spirits so badly that they would drive King Erik Bloodaxe from his kingdom. And within a year, this actually works because Erik was gone since he was deposed by his brother Håkon. So clearly these beings are something to be reckoned with, a force of nature, as Harald Bluetooth or Harald Gormson, the king of Denmark, will discover himself in the saga of Olav Tryggvason. So the king of the Danes decided to sail with his fleet to Iceland to take revenge for something that upset him greatly. It was a mockery that the Icelanders had heaped on him. The saga says that a law had been passed in Iceland that there was to be one lampoon composed about the Danish king for every person in the land. So lampoon means a verse or a drawing, anyway, something funny which derides an important person. So the reason for this was that at some point an Icelandic ship had been wrecked in Denmark and the Danes had seized the entire cargo, so basically stole everything, declaring it flotsam. And the man responsible for this was the king's steward by the name of Birgir. So they decided to make fun of them, composing some verses which were in no way commendable because the verses refer to the fact that Harald is a murderous king, and he also looks like a stallion, and he mounts a mare, and when he does that he becomes soft as wax, and this mare is none other than his steward Birgir, and they're both loathed by the land spirits who drive them into this unfortunate sexual encounter. So upon this offense, King Harald ordered a sorcerer to go to Iceland in animal shape and find out whatever information he could. And the sorcerer went in the form of a whale, and when he reached Iceland, he swam west first, around the north of the country, and then he saw that all the mountains and hills were full of these land spirits, landvættir, some large and some small. When he came to Vapnafjord, he entered the fjord. He intended to go ashore, but then, and here it is when we have a description about what these spirits might have looked like, and they're very diverse, because he sees a dragon coming down the valley, followed by many serpents, toads, and lizards that breathed poison at him. So to quote from Old Norse, "Þó for ofan dalnum dreki mikil og fylgdu honum margir ormar, poddur og eðlur og blæsu eitir á hann." So he has this first encounter with the poisonous beings, and then he swam away and went west along the coast all the way to Eidafjord. When he entered the fjord, there came toward him a bird this time, so huge that its wings reached to the mountains on either side of the fjord, and with it there were many other birds, both large and small. And let me quote to you again. "Þar formóti honum fugl svo mikil, að veggirnir tóku út fjólin tveggja vegna, og fjöldi annarra fugla, bæði stórir og smáir." So leaving this place, frightened, the sorcerer continued west along the coast, and then he went south to Breiðafjord, which he entered. And then he has another unfortunate encounter with these land spirits. A huge bull came toward him, wading into the sea and bellowing horribly, followed by another horde of land spirits. So in Old Norse, þar formótti honum griðungur mikil og óð og sen út og tók að gella okurliga. Fjöldi land þetta fylgdi honum. So then he left and went south around Reykjanes. So he basically tried to circle the whole island, intending to land at Vikarsgate, but then he was accosted by a mountain giant this time, holding an iron staff in his hand. So the giant's head was higher than the mountains, and with him there were many other giants, kind of reminiscent of trolls in later folklore. So in Old Norse, þar kom í móti honum bergrisi og hafði jórnstaf í hendi og bar höfuðið hærra en fjöllin og margir aðrir jotnar með honum. Then he headed east all the way to the coast, along the coast, and he says that there were nothing but sands, and the sea between Norway and Iceland was so wide that it was not possible for long-ships to cross it. So this whole enterprise turns out to be a complete failure, and then King Harald turned his fleet south and went back to Denmark. So you can see how powerful these spirits really are. So sometimes we find in literature these spirits sent to fight hostile sorcerers instead of combat taking place between them directly. In some cases, these enigmatic landvættir, so the spirits of the land, may also have some connection with the landdísir, another term used for these supernatural beings, with these or dísir in the plural being some kind of followers of some kind of spirits belonging to a person or a family. In some saga accounts, they appear identical to one part of the soul by the name of fylgja, which means literally something that follows you. I spoke more about this in my video about the parts of the soul in the Viking world. Two further types of spiritual beings can be summoned in the course of sorcerers' performances. They are known as gandir and verdir, may have been subsumed in a general word for such beings, noturur. So something related to nature, either way, that can be summoned, invoked, either to a good purpose or to a destructive purpose. So little is known of their form of origin. So this account I quoted from is actually the only account where we find some kind of description, a more exact description about their shape. But anyway, they could be employed to provide the summoner with not only the force of nature, but also knowledge of the future or of distant events. They can also be considered intermediaries with the dead, spirits of the departed, for example, at least in some form. Or angels of chaos, like I said. So if you look at later folklore, you're going to find all kinds of remnants and beliefs, and there's no surprise here because Christian writers, when they copied these sagas, these Norse sagas, they were also interested to see what would be acceptable and harmless with the new faith. And besides this, such beliefs do tend to develop outside of official religion quite a lot. So my question for you would be, do you know any such protective or destructive spirits, maybe from another culture or something interesting you might have heard of? Please feel free to share in the comments below and follow me for more about Norse topics. So have a great day and till next time.